Welcome, everyone, to episode number 6 of our podcast, Motivate to Move. I am John Lygroff.
And I'm Diane Traitz.
And today we have a very special guest, Michelle Brenton. She has done everything under the sun. There's so much stuff here that I'm sure that I'm going to run out of time. The 45-minute podcast is going to run out of time for me to list it all. So I'm just going to get started with a few things. At a very young age, she was doing synchronized swimming, gymnastics. She's done tons of team sports, including several athletes of the year in school, in high school, along with coaching and teaching, half and full marathons, triathlons, and wow, you're only just getting started, aren't you, Michelle? I need to check my heart rate for sure and see if I'm still alive after all that. And plus so much more. Michelle, thank you very much for doing this podcast. Thanks for being here.
Well, it's a real pleasure. This is my very first podcast. I've listened to many podcasts, but being a guest, it's an absolute thrill to be here and meet you both, John and Diane. So thank you to you and to Kendra Wenzel, my elementary childhood friend from years back that hooked us up.
Oh, that is excellent. And yes, Kendra, thank you very much, because Michelle, you are the type of person we want on our podcast just to talk about what it is that motivates you. And if you could just give us a small background of yourself, like a Cole's Notes version, to tell everybody out there that's listening who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. Well, I'll start from the present, maybe work backwards a little bit.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. I currently live in Hampton, New Brunswick with my husband of almost 25 years. 25 years next week.
Oh, yay.
In September. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a lovely long road full of great stuff. I'll leave it at that.
Great to hear.
Yeah. We have 2 children. They're both studying at UNB. Our son Doug is finishing up chemical engineering at Christmas, and our daughter Brooke is heading into 3rd year of arts and hoping to write the LSAT and get into law school in the next year or 2.
Oh,
fantastic.
Yeah. We're pretty proud of both our kids.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, and they've been active all their lives too, because they've had me as a role model. And so living here in Hampton has been great. We've been here about 24 years, and I'm fortunate enough to teach physical education in a kindergarten to grade 2 school right here in Hampton. It's K-2 school, nice, small, not small. We have over 200 children, but lovely community, lovely support from our families. I knew in junior high that I wanted to teach phys ed, but it just took me 40 years to land the job, staying home with kids and whatnot, and not having a lot of jobs out there. So yeah, I've been doing that for 13 years now. And I just dropped my age, didn't I?
You're never too old or young for this podcast.
Yeah, so. And you're never too young or old to start moving or learn something new and be active. So that's true. Kind of my main message as well. So as you said, I've played everything under the sun. I did a lot of individual stuff in elementary school, got interested in team sports, and kind of excelled at field hockey. Ended up being an all-Canadian second team at UNB, and Joyce Slip, a phenomenal coach. Played there for 5 years. And of course, after university, there's not a lot of opportunities for organized team sports, but I did find a recreational basketball league and did that for, 13 or 14 years until I found triathlon. So that's where I'm at now and loving it.
I just want to make a comment to start, because you've mentioned you had some great opportunities to play sports as a child. So your parents must have been very supportive for you to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
That's great. What great role models for you allow you to do that. So that's wonderful.
Well, mom was stay-at-home mom. So it was, okay, you're going outside, go ride your bike, go to the park, play in the field out back. We're outside. And she had the opportunity to take us to other parks and the beach and, keep us going to swimming lessons and things like that. So that was huge.
Diane was saying earlier, and you had mentioned in your email, this crazy event in Fundy Park. Now, Diane said we wanted to start with that.
Yes.
Now, I have to hear what's going on. What happened in Fundy in 2010? Both of us are very anxious to hear what this is all about.
Well, I guess I was 43 at the time, and in during that summer before school started, I found out about this Fundy H2O triathlon. I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. Who can I drag in to do this with me? Because I had no experience with triathlon whatsoever, but I was looking to try something new and different.
Okay, so tell us what is the triathlon? What does that event entail?
Sure. So there's various distances, but mainly there's the swim event, which is the beginning. And depending on the type of triathlon, whether it's a sprint distance or Olympic distance or the half iron, Ironman, or the full Ironman, the swim distance varies. Once you finish the swim distance, you change into bike gear. That's called a transition. Then you're on the bike for a certain number of kilometers. Then you get your helmet off and your running shoes on, and away you go on the run to the finish line. So there's 2 transitions, 3 sports, 2 transitions. Everything is timed, including the transitions. So, that's kind of the 4th event. You have to practice your transitions as well. Yeah.
Right. And was this a team event in 2010?
It was for us. Most triathlons offer a team relay event. We decided to do it as a team because it was new to the 3 of us, but there were lots of triathletes there doing it as an individual sport. I was voluntold that I was going to be the swimmer for this event. My friend Sarah was the cyclist, and our mutual friend Rhea would be the trail runner because she's heavy into running. So training for this, we never got together to train because we were all doing separate events. I have a 10-meter length in-ground pool. So that's where I did my swim training to swim in a lake.
And what distance were you doing at the event?
1 kilometer.
That's a lot more than 10 meters. Is that what you said?
It is. And the first rule of any race, as you probably know from running races, is that you don't do anything new on race day. You don't wear new shoes. You don't try any new nutrition. You don't eat a different breakfast, right? You go with the routine of how you have trained. Well, this was going to be my first time in a pond swimming in my life.
Open water is a little different than pool water, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's fresh water. There were critters. There were weeds. The water was probably about 17 degrees. My pool is like 27.
So how did it go?
Well, we showed up for registration and we said, yeah, we're here to register. This is our team. It's our first time doing a triathlon. And the girl's jaw dropped. You picked this one, she said, as your first. Like, uh-oh. Because we were feeling pretty good about ourselves. And now she's just kind of dampened our spirits with that comment. But we said, you know what, we're going to go and have fun and do it anyway. So the warm up for the swim, they give you a couple of minutes to warm up. Well, it was not a warm up. The water was freezing, and I will never forget how my face felt hitting that cold pond water. So I wasn't last getting out of the swim, training my 100 laps multiple times in my little pool. Yeah, Sarah got on the bike and she did her hilly 35-kilometer bike ride. Rhea did her 10-kilometer trail run, which she said was more like mountain climbing through the Point Wolf Trail, I think it is.
We can certainly relate to that.
Yeah.
I know exactly where she's talking about.
So we were pretty pumped just to finish it. And, we had a great time and there was a lobster dinner at the end. And I said, you know what? In Bennett Lake, I caught the triathlon bug and I wanted to do one as soon as possible on my own.
Okay.
So that was that. So that was just a crazy thing to do, just to jump in that pond. And, I've got a little borrowed wetsuit from a lifeguard I know at the pool here. And all the other triathletes are wearing proper, triathlon wetsuits, which I didn't have. I didn't do any research. I just went for it. It was a lot of fun and learned a lot and fell in love.
It sounds like an amazing experience.
It really was. Yeah. It really was.
So when did you do your first one by yourself as an individual?
About 10 months later in Hampton, the Hampton Ladies Triathlon. It's only open to ladies, and it is probably my favorite event.
Was that just hosted last weekend?
It was. They had it on Sunday. It's normally the second weekend in June, but because of COVID, they were waiting for more guidelines, and they held it on Sunday with limited numbers, no spectators.
Right.
They did a serpentine swim in the pool, and everything was, very, very safe. Yeah, people had a great time.
Were you able to participate in this one over the weekend?
The first one I missed in, I think, 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that because of the numbers?
When they reopened the registration, it filled immediately, so I missed out on the registration.
Okay, so it was fewer participants this year then.
Yeah, they're usually well over 200, and I think they had to cap it at 110.
Okay.
Because they had to spread them out so far, right?
Right. Well, you have to be safe. So that's
that's right.
A huge difference in the numbers.
Oh yeah, half for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So did you say that you were training for an Ironman this year?
Yeah, I signed up last October or November. My training partner, her name's Nikki Scott, and we've been friends since I coerced her into the Hampton Ladies Triathlon.
Poor Nikki.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, she loves me for it now.
Well, of course she does.
Yeah, so she signed up first, and we've been training together for the last 4 or 5 years. She signed up first, and I was humming and hawing, and she wanted to celebrate her milestone birthday in 2020 with completing an Ironman. So I really couldn't let her do it alone.
Well, of course not.
I got my credit card out and away we went. So we were 5 or 6 months into training when, it officially got deferred to next year.
Okay. So how disappointed were you when that happened?
Oh, it was devastating. I mean, we were mentally ready, which is huge. Physically, we were just getting outside on our bikes after being on trainers inside all winter and in swimming pools. And then the pools were closed, so we hadn't been swimming for 6 or 8 weeks at this point. And it was a downer. But once we wrapped our head around, okay, that's not happening. This is going to be the summer of fun. We'll train when we want. We take breaks when we want. We take pictures when we want. We eat when we want. But we'll still stay active and fit. And, we didn't really stick to a program, but we got all the disciplines in, multiple times through the week.
So you maintained your basic level of fitness then?
Pretty much. Yep. But we had fun along the way.
Yeah. And I can't imagine someone that's as active as you just totally stopping fitness. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
That's right.
There's
but
no
you
way.
Know what? Yeah. In 2 weeks in May, it was pretty, I was kind of in a low point. And I'm like, no, I'm not going out for a run. No, leaving the bike inside. And I was dealing with, the school closure as well. So mentally, I probably wasn't in a great state, and exercise probably would have helped me. But after 2 weeks, I said, all right, suck it up, princess. You got to go.
That's a great attitude.
Well, we all know that the mental aspect of all this is huge. I mean, without the mental aspect, it's got to be, I would say, at least 80% of completing whatever it is that you're trying to complete. I don't know if anyone else here would agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Your head has to be in it.
Absolutely. And leads me to one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, where some of the events I know can be mentally draining. And is there anything specific that you do to keep yourself sharp or mentally fresh?
I've learned in the last couple of years, after doing a few, long events like the 70.3, which is a half iron distance, that I need, an extra rest day than maybe other athletes. And I'm okay with that if I skip a swim workout or cut my bike workout short or whatever. So, a mental health rest day is good for me. I do a lot of visualization the week to 2 weeks leading up before an event. So I'm going through, planning my breakfast. What time do I need to be up? What's in my bag? What am I taking into transition? Because you can't leave transition. You got to drop all your stuff off for everything. You have to really plan out, what socks you're putting on, and do you have your helmet, adjusted just right, and things like that. So I wouldn't say that I do anything like meditation or like that, John. It's just I take breaks when I need it, I guess, would be the best mental fitness for me.
You know what's best for you, in other words. And when it's time, take full advantage of that and do what you have to do for yourself to succeed and to keep on moving.
That's right. That's right. And, that doesn't happen overnight. You learn it as you go with, different types of activities and different lengths of races and whatnot.
That takes time to learn as an athlete, for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
And you can't watch a YouTube video and get that either. There's no way.
No. Everybody's an individual and everyone trains, slightly different, and you learn as you go. And if you're not learning, I think you need to reflect a little more and find out, what can I do better? What do I need to cut back on? Where can I improve? Who can I ask for help? All of those things. You got to reflect a little bit.
Exactly. Now, that leads me to my next question that I really wanted to ask you. I mean, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've asked this to our last podcast, to Shauna.
Yeah.
Do you ever run events that go through your mind first? And you just said that you do that. You visualize these events for, what did you say, 2 weeks?
Not every day for 2 weeks, but you start thinking about, where would you like to set your bike up? Because not everybody can have their bike right at the bike exit or right at the run exit. You have to, and you don't always know the layout of the land of the transition areas until you get on race site. But you can go through the motions of, what am I packing in my bag? What goggles am I wearing? Did these socks rub my feet wrong last time?
Right.
Did I run out of baby powder for my feet? All of these little things that I keep a list that I refer to, and then visualize myself getting out of the water, getting the wetsuit off, getting to the bike, getting dried, my bike shoes on, and making sure I'm safe before I head out.
It does sound like the transition is a huge part of the event.
It really is. Yeah. And you have to prepare for that beforehand, because if you forget, you don't have your bike shoes with your bike, maybe they're in your car. Well, you can't really go get them and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true. Now, how many triathlons have you done?
Oh my gosh. It's several. I'd say over the last 10 years, an average of 4 to 5 per year.
Wow.
So just tell me, what is the distance for the Ironman?
It's very long. The time limit is 17 hours.
Oh.
If you don't make the bike cutoff by a certain time, they don't let you start the run event. The swim is 3.8 kilometers.
Oh my.
That's a long swim.
That's a long swim. Last winter, one of my last coached swims, I did 3,000 meters for the first time in my life, and I was thrilled. I was tired. My arms were hanging down by my feet, but I was pretty happy to get that done. So after the 3.8 kilometer swim, you're into transition to your bike, and you're putting on some comfy bike shorts because you are going for 180 kilometers.
Oh my.
Yep, a long little poke.
And I'm sure the route is always flat, right?
Absolutely, Diane. Of course it's flat.
Absolutely. Oh, one of my favorite bike routes was Old Orchard Beach, though. It was beautiful. It was a nice mix of rolling hills and beautiful, wide, flat, new pavement. And yeah, that was phenomenal. So 180 kilometers on the bike, back to transition. And at that point, you are definitely happy to be off the bike. But now you have 26.2 kilometers on your feet.
As if you weren't tired already, now you get to run.
Well, I was tired when I was going through Michelle's bio. Now I'm exhausted after listening to the Ironman stats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a nap after this just to be able to go to sleep.
I know. I have a nap. When I'm thinking about it, it's like, really? You paid money to do this?
Right. Have you ever missed a cutoff in one of your events?
I have not.
Oh.
I have not missed a cutoff. Now, the shorter events generally don't have cutoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The 70.3, it may have a cutoff. I'm not sure. But, and fortunate to say, did not finish either. So I'm lucky that I've never had bike issues within a race, flat tires or mechanical issues. And I'm going to knock on some wood here that continues to be. Yeah.
That seems really, really crazy. I mean, so you've never been injured during, that's just
okay. So I've crashed my bike.
Well, however it is that you're training, people should be following you and training the same way.
Oh, for sure.
Well, no, I haven't been injured in races. I've been injured in training, and I have wonderful physiotherapist here, and I see my massage therapist, about every 8 weeks. So they're doing a good job keeping me in balance, I guess.
And I think that's a great way to be proactive.
Yes. And I think with the year of training that I have coming up ahead, it's going to be more so. I mean, I'll have to add in strength training, 2 to 3 times a week as well, and yoga.
You mentioned that you have a fabulous, like-minded training partner.
Nikki's the best.
Nikki.
Yeah.
How much do you two push each other? And do you believe that you would have been able to accomplish so much in these last 5 or 6 years if you didn't have Nikki training with you?
Oh, I'm going to say probably not, because we just send each other a quick text. Hey, can you get out for 30 minutes? Yes or no? And often it's a yes. Most times I would say it's a yes. So we get a lot of training in together. And she is definitely a stronger swimmer than I am. She has a lot of talent in that area. So she pushes me in the water. And she would say that I was be a stronger runner than her. So that's where I get to, push and pull her along in that discipline. We're pretty even on the bike, I'd say.
Well, that's interesting. So you guys push and pull each other
Yes.
in opposite events where one person is better than the other. You help each other along.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
How important do you think it is for a person to train with like-minded people, such as yourself? Like it's working for you. Do you believe that this is the way that other people should look at it as well, or try to train?
I think so. I think training, especially for long distance events, whether it be just running or just cycling or just swimming, can be pretty lonely. You're out there for hours at a time. Of course, there's not a lot of socialization while you're swimming, but we take breaks every set distance or whatever and can chat. But I think having a training partner that you can rely on for support or venting when things don't go well, right? Oh man, you rocked that run, but I was really dogging it today. I don't know what I had for lunch, but that didn't work out.
That's great.
He did a beautiful friendship, but also training partnership as well.
That's great. And don't you find just having someone to train with, you're a little more accountable, and you're going to keep pushing yourself. You're not going to stop because you're tired. And I just
That's right.
I don't feel like doing this today. Well, your partner is, 10 meters ahead of you. You have to keep going, right?
Yeah, we have to duke it out together for sure.
You're obviously goal-driven, or I would say, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but it sounds to me like you're goal-driven. Is that correct?
I would say the goal overall would be, I want to be my best no matter the outcome. If I feel I did my best based on my training, then I have to be happy with that. Mm-hmm. As far as Ironman goes, I'm not setting a time on that. I guess the only time I really would focus on is getting through the bike so that I can actually do the run, right. Walk, and have that chance to get to the finish line to hear Mike Riley say, "Michelle Brenton, you are an Ironman." Because that's what everybody wants.
Crossing that finish line and hearing that is, now I've never done the Ironman, but just when you cross the finish line, it is an amazing feeling. And you hear your name come up. It's great.
It is. And if they know you're coming and you've got that, last 500 meters or whatever to go, and you hear your name, it gives you that little bit of oomph to really get there.
That little shot of adrenaline can really carry you, can't it?
It really does, yeah. So yeah, John, goals. I might have goals like I've worked really hard on my swimming. I want to get a certain swim time, or I'd like to keep a certain miles per or kilometers per hour on the bike for most of my bike, things like that. And if it leads to a really great overall finishing time, that's bonus.
Right. It's just icing on the cake, in other words.
Yeah. So for me, I'm competing against myself in either the whole race or portions of the race. And of course, weather conditions can play a big factor in how the whole race plays out as well.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't have a good day. I mean, it happens. Right. It doesn't even matter how much you train. Sometimes you're just out there and you're thinking to yourself, why am I doing this? I don't feel 100% right now, it's not working.
It's just not your day.
Yeah, it happens in training too. So it's like, okay, well, that didn't go as well as I planned. Let's recover, let's fuel up and get at it another day.
So how do you find time to do all these things, all these activities that you're doing to train?
I make the time. My family often eats late.
That's a good answer. I like that.
Yeah.
You really need a supportive family, don't you?
You do. And well, my husband works late and the kids are away at university. So they're kind of on their own, from September to April. But, and my school finishes, most of the children are gone by 2. This year it'll be about 2:30 because of busing. But I can usually be out training by 3:30 or 4, get my hour or an hour and a half in or whichever. That's late afternoon is kind of my prime time for training. Now I know once we get heavy into longer distances for things, that early mornings and headlamps will become a thing for Nikki and I. But and I've had a great summer. I have my summers off away from work, so time is my own there too. So I'm fortunate that way because that is race season, and that's when we're peaking into races and then tapering for longer events.
You talk about enjoying the moment, and I'm putting that in quotes because you sent that in the email. And I really agree with that statement so much about you need to enjoy the moment. Do you find that this entire virus thing has taken some of the sparkle away from some people enjoying their moments?
I think so. Yeah, they're caught up in the do's and the don'ts and the, people complain about, this is all fear mongering and there's no science. And then you have the other people on the other side who are wearing their masks even when they're outside, taking the sparkle, as you say, out of some people's lives. I try to keep mine, and with school year starting, and I'm feeling safe about our guidelines at school, that the sparkle will start to return when things get back to normal and people are out and about and doing their shtick.
Yes. I mean, no doubt about it. The world as we know it has changed forever. And we just have to keep going and can one day at a time.
That's right. You cope with the things that are brought to you, and you try not to stress, but everyone's got some form of stress right now.
That's right. You control the things that you can control.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that is a huge part of everything. Sometimes I find people will try to control things that they can't control, or they'll be worried about stuff that they absolutely can't control. I believe we all fall into that category, but some people just seem to do it more than others.
I would agree. I think back in the spring, I was a ball of nerves.
Everybody was.
Everybody was. But, as there was more science and more talk, and New Brunswick did such a great job with flattening the curve, you felt a little more comfortable. Okay, I can go to the grocery store and I don't have to wipe everything when I get home, because I did that the first few times.
I agree with you. So I just wanted to ask you a question as a teacher, as a phys ed teacher. Do you find that children embrace being active? Are they more sedentary now than the children were 10 years ago?
I'll give you this perspective. K to 2 are 5 to 7-year-olds. They want to move. They don't want to sit still for the most part. So yeah, they're on the move. But I mean, I have had students who, oh, well, what did you do on the weekend? Did you get out to the park? Did you play ball? Or were you at soccer practice? No, I played video games all weekend.
Yes.
Which kind of breaks my heart a little bit, but I know there's a lot of home situations that just don't allow for children to be out on their yard if they have a yard, or playing an organized sport, or being introduced to, learning how to skate or whatever it may be. Compared to 10 years ago, I'd say it's about the same, but a generation ago, before all the technology, the handheld technology, I'd say there'd be a difference for sure.
Okay, for sure.
But at my age group, I don't see it a lot. They want to play, they want to learn, they want to run, jump, skip, bounce a ball, learn to catch a ball, all of those things, which are, that K to 2 curriculum is really focusing on, is those basic skills.
Well, since we're talking about your students, K to 2, so this question may be a little bit too far along for them because they're so young, but Have any of your former students come up to you later in life and said, just said to you how helpful you were in getting them on the right path? I know that they're kind of young and, and just
and they
another
don't
follow-up
remember
to
me.
that.
I remember them.
You remember them. Well, then do you ever follow any of them later on then?
Well, I wouldn't say that I follow them, but since, Facebook shows everybody everything. And Hampton is a small town, about 4,000. I see, and I used to coach cross country with John Heron at the middle school, so kind of follow that group. Yeah, so I wouldn't say I follow them directly, but I went to see a post about a softball team, and I taught 2 or 3 of the girls on the provincial softball team, and it's like that makes my heart swell, right? Or a boy who's playing provincial rugby or high school basketball or whichever. And, it makes me feel good that maybe I had a small part in keeping them active and showing them some basic skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not just me. There's, they go to the elementary school, grade 3 to 5, and they have another phys ed teacher. And then they go to junior high or the middle school and have another phys ed teacher, and it carries on. But
so you see them progress as they move through the school system to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. Now, I was at the bottle depot, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and this guy came up to my car because I'm not supposed to get out, and he had a mask on, and I had a mask on, and he said, "I can't remember your name, but I know you taught me gym class at Leatherbarrow." And I said, "Jacob, is that you?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, it's Mrs. Brenton." "Oh, yes, that's your name, Mrs. Brenton." And he's, we had a great little chat, and he just finished high school, and I was thrilled that he knew who I was.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Or kind of knew who I was. Yeah.
Well, he remembered you for a reason.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. Yep. It was neat. So that doesn't happen a lot, but once they're out of high school, they're often gone for 4 or 5 years, and life moves on like it does for all of us.
Right.
Indeed, it does. Yeah.
I work with a gentleman, and he has 2 daughters, and his oldest this year is going into grade 10. Last year, she had to pass a certain number for her phys ed, some sort of external outside run. I guess she had to do this outside run, and she had to get to a certain amount of minutes running, I believe is what it was, if I remember correctly from last year. And she was doing some training for this so that she could, get a better mark in the class, which sounds fantastic to me.
Yeah.
And he was telling me today, now that she's in grade 10, she has no more phys ed.
I know.
How does that make you feel? Do you think that that's just the wrong way of doing things, or is that just the way that it's going to be and too bad?
I think it's been that way for a lot of years. That would be the last year of mandatory phys ed, where you have to take the course. Of course, grade 11 and grade 12 students have so many options that they're trying to stream into, okay, well, what am I going to do after grade 12? Am I carrying on school? And I think it's called outdoor pursuits for grade 11 and grade 12, which is, I believe, I don't know I don't know the curriculum that well, but it's more of a lifestyles course. There's fitness involved, but they might learn about kayaking or orienteering and those types of non-traditional phys ed activities. I think a fitness class or a phys ed class for grade 11 and grade 12 would help push everybody towards a more active lifestyle once they're out of school. Keep them healthy and happy.
Yeah, because after he was explaining that to me just today, matter of factly, I thought to myself, it just seems like you're telling kids of that age, hey, you don't have to exercise. It's not that important. And I think that if the body is healthy, that the mind can become more healthy. I believe the two are intertwined. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but
I think you're right. I think grade 10, it's a very impressionable age. And, most students, I would say, have probably finished growing. Junior high, sure, they might be gangly and uncoordinated and whatnot, but by, grade 10, 11, they've got their coordination and their growth kind of intact, and they should be able to find something that they enjoy doing. because that's what you want. You want a healthy community.
I thought I would ask you about it because you're such a great person to ask this question to. I was wondering what you thought about it.
I would love to see, that mandatory or regulated class for grade 11 and grade 12, just to get them through a little more. And you could go so in depth with it at that point, right? They're older and more mature. And you could explore a lot of different lifestyle activities out there. 3 years ago, I learned how to stand up paddleboard.
Oh, wow. That'd be cool.
It's the best. I call it my yoga and my meditation is when I'm out on the Belle Isle Bay and the water is like glass and I can just go and come back when I want. And it's just so peaceful.
Does it take a lot of focus and concentration?
If the waves come up, yep. Or a boat gets a little too close and you're, trying to get over the wake of their boat. But I go when it's pretty calm because I just want the meditative part of it.
And relaxing the mind, relaxing your brain.
Yes.
So you're losing yourself out there, literally.
I really am. I can take a cup of coffee and set it there, and I haven't spilled my coffee yet, so it's all good.
That's fantastic.
There was one other thing I wanted to ask you. Young children, if they don't get into athletics or as they get older and stuff, I just wonder, do they lose some of that maybe hand-eye coordination or some skills that they would get if they were an athlete or in sports of some kind as they're younger? Do you believe that is something that is taught to you, or it just naturally comes?
If you give them the basics of that, or running or galloping or skipping, jump rope is a huge one. Most kids aren't jumping rope more than 10 rotations until the end of grade 1 at best. So I guess from my point of view, I want them to have a good basic knowledge of how and their experiences of practicing. And if they find, no, I don't like catching balls, well, they're probably not going to learn to play baseball or be interested in signing up for T-ball. But if I teach them about running, maybe they're going to join a cross-country team, right? Or go out with their mom or dad for a little walk run after supper or whatever. Yeah, my opinion is I've got to give them the basics in the time I have, make it fun, keep them safe, and give them the best experience at practicing as much as possible, because they're not all going to have that opportunity to go to the rink or go to the ball field or the soccer pitch or whatever. So
right, you're basically throwing a bunch of stuff at the chalkboard and whatever sticks.
Yeah,
they get a wide range and they can decide what it is that they want to try.
Right. And those opportunities hopefully are presented to them as they progress through school and through their life with their families.
Very important, very impressionable. And I'm so glad that you do what you do, because we need people like you to show kids and teach them to have fun and get out there and move.
That's right. Well, thank you. I love my job. I've wanted to do this for many, many years. I get lots of positive feedback, which I'm pretty proud of. And I want to see more Jacobs come up to me and remember me.
That's great. Do you have a favorite athlete that you have read about?
Yeah. Do you have one? And do you follow any athletes, or is it, that big team sport thing just not in your wheelhouse? Like, you'd rather do things with other people that and train and run and not worry about these high paid athletes?
I watch a lot of hockey.
Hey, all right.
Who's your favorite team?
Well, I have two. It's Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So let's go Lightning, because the Maple Leafs have gone to the golf course already. But as far as a favorite athlete, I wouldn't say so. I mean, growing up, I loved watching Magic Johnson because I was big into basketball. There weren't a lot of field hockey athletes on TV at that point, so basketball was the thing. I wouldn't say I look up on Instagram for any in particular athlete or anything, but things come across my feed in Facebook. And one in particular last week was Martina Navratilova, who I, watched back in the 70s. And she had a little quote: "The ball doesn't know how old I am." This is when she was 43. I play like I need to play. And most of us, it's not our bodies that are doing the work. It's the 6 inches between our ears that make or break your progress. And I thought, wow, that's exactly what it is. A lot of it is just in our mind, right? So just get out there and get her done.
What a great attitude.
Yeah. So that was a really neat little piece I found. Yeah.
And she was number one for quite a while, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have 35, 40 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of names out there. So, yeah, I don't have a favorite athlete, but you kind of aspire or look up to the people who are doing good in the world. You know, the Wayne Gretzky, the Sidney Crosby, even though he's playing for the Penguins, whatever. But you know, the people who are doing good in the world and are successful in their sporting life as well as their community life. Yeah, those are the people that I guess I would aspire to.
Right. Yeah, you're more about community than you are about the high-paid athlete.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which makes a lot of sense coming from a small community and being as active as you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Work from the grassroots.
In an email that you sent prior to us speaking here tonight, you mentioned that you like being active because it's enjoyable and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because it's good for you. And I think that's the message that we need to get out to people, is that moving and being active is fun. It's not just good for us.
Right. You don't want your activity, your exercise to be a chore,
No.
because nobody likes chores.
We have enough chores.
We have enough chores. Yep. So put the dish towel away and put on your shoes. And the first step is the hardest, getting out the door, whether it's a walk, jog, you know, bike ride, hike with the family, toss the ball around, whatever it is.
It has to be something that you enjoy doing. So what advice would you today give to 18-year-old Michelle?
That's a long time ago. But, well, I guess I would tell 18-year-old Michelle, you grew up in a great place in PEI, but we're going to move on. You're only young once. You're only 18 once, so enjoy this time before the adulting starts. But also remember, you only have one body and one mind, so make good decisions on what you do with both. I'd also say be patient with yourself. Life is what you make it. Control what you can, but cope with the rest. And always try to be a better person today than you were yesterday. And I'll give you this quote that's one of my favorites, and I have it on posters and my screen background and whatnot. It's from George Bernard Shaw. You don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing. And I mean, that doesn't mean you're playing basketball or a team sport, but you're out, you're enjoying your life. And if activity helps you do that, then even so much the better.
Great. That's a great quote.
So here's to not getting old.
I'll drink to that.
I will definitely drink to that. Please do not start any workout routine without going to see your doctor first and making sure that it's okay.
Absolutely.
Because we don't want anyone doing anything that they shouldn't be doing, and that's why you need to go see your doctor. Michelle, it's just been fantastic, and Diane and I both have enjoyed talking to you so much. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on, and you shared so much relevant information, and just letting people know it's okay to have fun. You know, go out there and have some fun and teach other people how to have fun, and just kind of be at one with yourself and get out there and do it. Don't let the excuses take over.
Yep. Find what moves you.
That's right. Yeah. There's so many fun options out there. Find one that you enjoy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's been an absolute blast meeting you and talking with you today. And I appreciate the time and the questions I had beforehand, so I could, reflect back on my life and those great questions. So thank you very much.
It's a great opportunity for reflection, isn't it? To think about all that you have done and what you have accomplished over the last several years, and what you're going to accomplish next year.
Oh yeah, that.
I have no doubt that you're going to accomplish it. And when you do, you're going to have to come back and tell us about it.
Please reach out to us.
Okay. After a couple of weeks recovery, because then we're back into school. But yeah, I would love to talk about it again, for sure.
And I want to hear about it. We want to hear about it.
Okay.
And maybe it's possible to have you back on in, say, a month or two or whatever, and you can tell us how school's going with the little ones and just let us know how things are out there.
Sure thing. Yeah, a little check-in mini podcast.
In the interest of time, I think we're going to leave it there for this evening. For our very special guest, Michelle Brenton, and my co-host, Diane Trites, this is John Lygroff saying good night, and we'll see you next time on Motivate to Move. Good night.
Okay. Well, thank you, Diane. Thank you very much, John. Have a great week, everybody. Get out there and move.